Hi everyone, it's Brigit here, one of the Pilates instructors for Silverfit, and this is session number 15 for Silverfit at home. It's incredible, 15 already. Today's session we're going to focus on stretching and relaxing, so it's going to be a nice mat-based session. We've done quite a few energetic sessions recently, so I thought I'd kind of bring the energy down a little bit. And this one is good if you're quite tired, if you've done some running or walking already and you just want to finish it off with a stretch. It's also good if you just aren't in the mood for exercise but you sort of feel like you ought to be doing something, so this is like no hassle option for you. Okay, so we will start off on our hands and knees. So we're going to do a cat-cow stretch just to start off. So we want to line ourselves up so our wrists are underneath our shoulders and our knees are underneath our hips, and we want our shins to be pressing into the mat, so you don't want your shins kind of wafting around. And as we exhale, we're going to scoop those abdominals, we're looking at our belly button, strong tall arms, and as you inhale, just start to tilt the tailbone up and let the rest of the spine ripple through. Click, 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 click. And then tilt the spine under, and we're back in our cat stretch, and then tip the tailbone up. So you can be nice and slow with this movement, so you really want to feel what's going on here. Shoulder blades glide back and down, lots of space around the neck. Tuck your tail under and just feel that nice ripple through the spine, lots of length. Try not to crash, bang, wallop through the stretch. And then we're coming into the tabletop position and we're just going to sit back on our heels. Now don't worry if your backside doesn't make it to your heels, that's fine. Just go where you can go. Lovely stretch here. And then inhale to prepare, and as you exhale, float back onto your hands and knees. Okay, so we don't want to kind of dump the weight down on our wrists. You want to keep an engagement in your core. So you feel light. You want to feel quite light in this one. And then inhale, back, sitting towards our heels. Exhale, float back up. And we're just going to take a little bit of a sweep of the arm. And then we go back down again. Sweep of the other arm. You can keep your elbows soft if that feels nicer. You don't want to feel like you're kind of creating any sort of shoulder problem here. If your neck feels happy about it, gaze can follow hand. And one more. And then we're back onto our hands and knees. Okay, now if you need to, you can just take the load off your wrists and give them a little shake out. It's quite nice to do that little and often just to keep the wrists happy. Okay, and then we're back onto our hands and knees, and you're going to move your left arm first. So as we inhale, you're opening out, nice crucifix shape, and as you exhale, thread the needle. Try and keep your hips on top of your knees, so try not to do that. You want to keep on top of yourselves. And then we open out, exhale. That's 2, we'll do another 2. Inhale and exhale. And on the last one, if you want to, maybe just hold it for a moment or two. You don't want to have the weight on your head, have the weight on your shoulders. You might want to do something like this, or you might want to do something like this, or you might just want to do something like this. Okay, only do that stretch if it feels all right for you. Okay, and then we'll just come back into child's pose and just give our wrists a little shake out. And over we go to the other side. So inhale, reaching up, expanding that chest. Exhale, squeezing all the juice out the orange. Keep your bum over your knees. Okay, so we don't want the bum going back towards the heels. Inhale, exhale. So you're using every bit of the movement. Inhale, exhale. This is great for our spine, for the fascia. It's like the body's onesie, the fascia. So we want to keep it nice and moist, nice and mobile. Okay, and then on the last one, you might want to hold it here. You might not. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Okay, and you want your weight on your shoulder, not on your head. Okay, because of the health of the neck. Okay, and then we bring the arm up, maybe rest it here, maybe, or you might be able to tuck the hand in your hip crease. You don't want to feel awkward around your neck. Okay, that's an important point for this one. And then we bring the hand back, press yourself up. We'll tuck the toes under, jack the hips up. We're in a downward facing dog. And here you can either hold still or you can just pedal through the feet, which I like this one because I'm quite tight on the back of my legs. It just teases the stretch out a little bit. If you're very tight, keep your knees soft. Okay, you don't want to be in this shape. You want to have your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Okay, and then why not vary the foot position? So you can go a little bit pigeon-toed here, and you get a slightly different focus on the outside of the calf here. It's a nice stretch. And then we're going to go Charlie Chaplin feet, where the heels are together but the toes are apart. So again, slightly different focus. Okay, and straighten out the feet and walk the feet towards the hands. And we're just going to have a little dangle here. So try not to have your backside going back. You want the hips on top of the feet. And we'll have a little sway. And what's quite nice here is to interlace your fingers and just place your hand at the base of your skull. And just traction out the neck ever so slightly. So you're not tugging or wrenching or pulling. You're just adding a little assist to traction out that neck. And then release the hands to the floor. Take a crouch down. Be careful of knees. If this doesn't suit you, then you can leave this one out. And then we're just going to take a seat. Okay, so if you've got a block or a cushion, it might be a nice idea to sit on this. I've got quite tight hips. So we want to get our posture well aligned, okay? So we don't want to be fighting with the pose. So if you can't sit like this with the spine nice and straight, raise your hips a little bit, okay? It will just feel so much nicer. Otherwise, it's like you're like that, and that's not what we're after. So we're going to just have our hands down by the side of our thighs, and keeping this length through the waist, you're just going to direct one hand towards the foot, and then the other hand towards the other foot. Now, you want to keep long in your waist, so you feel there's a lift. So if you imagine a fountain coming out of the ground, it doesn't come out and go, does it? It's sort of up and over. So we want that up and over feeling. And then we'll just do one more the other way. Some people will just get to here, and some people are very, very limber. So, you know, do it to your own body's ability. Okay, so for the next one, you can shake out the legs. For the next one, I'm going to turn around so you can see me from this different angle. And from here, I'm just going to take the block away. I don't really need it for this one. So we're going to stretch our spine, and we're going to have the arms like that, and we're sitting upright. You might need to soften your knees, you might need to raise your hips, and as you exhale, you're reaching forwards, you're flexing your feet, and you're sinking in the belly. So we want to create a C curve in the spine. And then inhale, restack, roll the shoulders back and down. Now, if you can't achieve a straight spine, you need to raise your hips or bend your knees. Okay, and then we go again. And up we come. Okay, now shake out the legs. You might want to give the quads a bash. We're now going to bring the stretch further up the spine. So for this next variation, you want to keep a straight spine to where the bra strap is. And we're going to raise our arms. So we're straight to where the bra strap is, and then we're going to go up and over. So we're bringing the stretch to the top portion of the spine. And up we come again. Let's circle the arms for good measure. Okay, and then we'll go up and over. And straighten ourselves up, and we'll circle the arms the other way for good measure. Okay, and then shake it out. Okay, so we're going to come around to this position again. And you're just going to place your right foot into your left thigh. Okay, and we're like so. And we're going to put the right hand down on the floor, and we're just going to have a stretch. Or if you feel okay, you can lift off, so you're getting a stronger effect. And then you might want to look up towards the ceiling. Now, don't do this if it doesn't feel right or if your spine is suffering. Okay, and then we'll release back down. And then the hand goes towards the foot. Okay, so like we did before, but in this position, and we're lifting up through the waist, hand goes towards the foot. So your chest is facing forwards, and now the arm comes up and over. And again, you might want to look up towards the ceiling, but only if your spine and your neck feels happy. We don't want to force anything here. Okay, and then release. And then we're going to sit back, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So we've got left foot to right inner thigh, and then the left hand is down like so. And either we're just having a stretch, and this is a lovely stretch, or you can lift off. And if you want to take it stronger still, just looking up towards the ceiling. Make sure all your body parts are engaged here. We don't want to be sort of do a half job and then come back. And then glide your hand down towards your foot. And again, we want to keep height through the waist, and then the other arm comes up and over. And release. Okay, and then we'll sit back, and then we're going to just have our feet here. I'm just going to turn around so you can see it from this angle. So we've got our feet here, and we've got our hands here. Now, some people like to have their fingers that way, and that's absolutely fine, okay? And we're going to inhale, and as you exhale, press your hands down, activate the muscles of your upper back and around your shoulders. And if you're feeling good to go, then just glide your backside down towards your heels, and then lift the backside off the floor. So in a reverse tabletop. Now, it's not everyone's cup of tea, this. You don't have to lift the bum off the floor if you don't want to. And then we lower back down. Avoid tipping your head back as well. Unless you really know what you're doing, I'd avoid that. Okay, and then we're just going to release out the wrists, release them the other way. Okay, and then we're sitting, I'm going to sit on my block again for this one. Okay, so we're coming into a cross-legged position. Now, if you don't like that, this is fine, okay? We'll just find something that you're fine with. And if you are doing a cross-legged position, swap the cross of your legs, okay? So just, it will feel a little bit weird. That's the point. Okay, and then we're going to have our hands on our thighs like so. And as we exhale, we're going to scoop those abdominals in. So it's like we're scooping, we're hollowing, we're stretching that spine. And as we inhale, you're presenting the chest forwards, and we're lengthening through our front spine. So we've got our exhale, and we've got our inhale. So we're in our sitting cat-cow stretch. It's the same as a cat-cow mechanically through the spine, but we're just sitting instead of on our hands and knees. Okay, and now we're exhaling, and then we're going to start to add a swirl for 3, 2. If you don't like swirls, you can do a few more cat-cows, and 1, and then change direction for 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Okay, we'll just get rid of the block, and we'll take a little shuffle down to the front of the mat here. Okay, so we're going to have our feet so that they are hip width apart and flexed. Okay, so this is pointed, this is flexed. Okay, and then we want a strong flexion, so it's not just, you want to really press into your heels. Okay, and now we're lifting the arms up, and then we're taking that dive forwards. Look at those feet, they should be strongly flexed. And then we're going to tuck, so you're tucking the tailbone under, and we're rolling down for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And when you're down, interlace your fingers. Take a full body stretch. Okay, full body stretch. And now we're going to just take a banana stretch. So our hands and our feet come towards the right of the mat. So we're in the shape of a banana. And you want your front body facing up, and you want your back body on the mat. So you're not twisting. We're not doing that. Okay, our back body is on the mat, but we're just longer on the left hand side of the body. Okay, and then we'll come back to centre, swap the the interlace of your fingers, and now the hands go to the left and the feet go to the left. So we're in that lovely banana stretch. So we're getting a nice stretch for the full right side of the body here. Okay, and then come back. And then we're going to tuck the knees into the chest and have a little rock from side to side. And then we're going to bring the legs into this position. So we've got the legs in the tabletop position, and we're just going to, instead of a 90-degree angle at the hips, we're just tucking in a little bit more. Okay, and then we're going to have, I'm going to get rid of this, we're going to have our arms in a cactus position. Okay, if you prefer, you can have your arms as brakes. You can use your arms, so you've got more control this way. Okay, now from here, we're going to work with active torsion. So we're not doing this, we're not collapsing, okay? We're not collapsing into a sort of collapsy stretch. You want to keep your ribs on the mat, and as the knees go over to one side, you've got the ribs sort of going that away, and you've got the thighs going that away. So we're creating this torsion, this double action. Okay, as you exhale, come back. As you inhale, over to the other side. Check your knees are stuck together, okay? We don't want one thigh slithering down the other. I'm going to just show you an easier version so you can have your feet on the floor. So inhale as the knees go to one side. Exhale as you come back to centre. Okay, and then we're back here, and we're going to just tuck the knees into the chest. You can cradle your kneecaps and just circle, and then we'll change direction. Okay, and then we're lengthening the legs. Now you can use you can create a wedge with your hands here and press your pelvis into the wedge, and this gives our back a little bit of extra support, so it's nice. Okay, now if you notice that you're like this in your neck, it's very nice to get a cushion. So you could use a small pillow or cushion if you need that extra support, okay? So if you've got like a little sort of rounding of the back, which a lot of us do, it's quite nice to put your head on a cushion, because otherwise the head tips back and it's a bit jarring for the neck, okay? But if you don't need one, you don't need one, and that's absolutely fine too, but you want to keep the back of your neck long, okay? And that's the general thing, that's not just for this particular exercise. Okay, so we've got the legs up in the air, and we've got our hand wedge, and we're going to do double leg circles for 3. You can do this with bent knees, 2, and that makes it a bit easier, and 1, and then change direction for 3. That little pop there is my hip flexor, for 2, and 1. Okay, lovely. So legs are up in the air. Now you can make this next one a little bit more challenging if you want to, by peeling your head, neck and shoulders off the floor. You'd want to have your head, if your neck's going, your head can be supported by something. Or if you've got cushions or things like this, you know, you can put your head, you can support your head and neck. Okay, and we're like this. Okay, and then you're going to lower one leg, and then you're going to lift. And you're going to lower the other leg, and you're going to lift. Okay, and we're going to do 3 each side. You can obviously do more. You can always press the pause button and do more. Okay, now that leg is lowering, but this leg, keep that energized. With the lowering leg, work your bum as well. Okay, and by that I mean you're lengthening, but it's like you're pressing on mud, and feel those glutes activate. It's very nice once you work that one out. Okay, and then we come back, and obviously you can do more if you want to. Okay, and then we're here. So we're going to tuck in, give yourself a little cuddle, and then you're going to lengthen your left leg down the mat. I've got balls and blocks everywhere today. Okay, so lengthen your left leg down the mat, and this leg is energized, okay, it's not just sort of hanging there. And you're going to hug your right knee in towards you, and then just hug your right knee towards your right armpit, and you're getting a bit of a hip opener. Nice to open the hips. And whilst we're here, we're just going to circle the ankle 3 times in one direction, and then 3, 2, 1 times in the other direction. And your right arm is out in crucifix or cactus arm. Try not to do that. So you don't want to pop the shoulder up. You want to keep your shoulder broad and in the right place. Okay, so try not to do that. Left hand draws the right thigh across the body. And again, we want this active torsion. Okay, so we did that twist earlier. You want to think in terms of your ribs kind of drawing back towards the mat as your thigh goes over. So we've got this double action. Energy's going that way, energy's going that way. It's like wringing out the dishcloth, and that's where the work is. Otherwise, it's just sort of, there's nothing going on, which is not bad in its own right, but we want a little bit more activity with this one. Okay, now, if you want a deeper stretch, you can straighten out the top leg. That is a big stretch. If it's too much, keep the knee soft or just don't do it. Okay, but if you are doing it, it's quite you'll know you're doing it. It's quite a sensation. Okay, and then bring it back, and then we'll just give that leg a little shake, lengthen it, and then draw the left knee in. So give yourself a little squeeze, and then we're just going to bring that left knee towards the left armpit. So we're opening out that hip a little bit, and we'll circle the ankle. 1, 2, 3, change direction. 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then draw the thigh across the body. So right hand is drawing left thigh across the body. Left arm is either in crucifix or cactus arm, depending on space and what your preference is. Okay, and again, we want this torsion. So we've got that double action, wringing out the dishcloth. Okay, and then this may be plenty of stretch for you. Okay, it might be absolutely fine. If you want to go that little bit deeper, you're going to just straighten out the leg, pressing into the ball of the foot. And that is a big stretch. And then bring that leg back. And then we're going to place the feet on the floor. You might want to give those legs a little shake. Okay, so we've got the feet on the floor. Now, we're going to do a bridge, and then I'm going to demonstrate a supported bridge with blocks. And you could improvise with books if you haven't got blocks, but it's just something to raise the hips a little bit. Okay, so it depends what you have at your disposal. Cushions are nice as well. Okay, so we're gonna just do a straightforward bridge to start with. So we're gonna inhale, and as you exhale, you're tilting the pelvis, and you're just rolling up, vertebra by vertebra by vertebra by vertebra. We're just getting that nice rolling action, that nice articulation through the spine, and then we're gonna come back again. Okay, and just check in with how your lower back is feeling here. Okay, and how your hamstrings are. And when you come up into this bridge, we want to have the bum muscles are working. We don't want the ribs hanging out. We want to keep everything neat and tidy. We want to keep those muscles working. And then we're going to roll back down. Okay, and now I'm going to show you the supported bridge. So I'm going to gather my blocks. So I'm going to go for 2 blocks and a brick. Okay, now we're building a little structure underneath our hips. Okay, so you've got to get the foundation stone right, otherwise we could topple off. We don't want that. Okay, so the first one, we're just going to place 1 block underneath the hips, and we just get this slight rising here, but it's very relaxing. We can just melt into it. Okay, and then we're going to place the second block on top of the first block. Okay, so just sense check that you're not kind of teetering on the edge here. Now this is quite a nice height as well. You can feel this starting to sense this feeling of opening. Okay, and if you want to go higher, you might want to place, this is what I've got, a brick and 2 blocks. So I'm feeling this quite opening. Okay, now for some people it might not be deep enough. For other people it might be way too deep. Okay, so you've just got to kind of go with your own body. And whilst we're here, you might want to experiment a little bit. We're lifting a leg. It's nice to get the circulation going. Having one leg up in the air. Having another leg up in the air. If you're feeling you need to make sure that your structure is very stable. Okay, if you want to go for both legs up in the air. Do be careful with this, okay? You need to have a rock solid base here. Okay, and then you can release out of that. Now to come out of it, we built up one at a time and we're going to remove one at a time, because if we come down too quickly it can feel a little bit unpleasant. Okay, so just let yourself settle and then slight lift of the hips, bring the next one down, and then slight lift of the hips, bring the next one down, and then we're going to cross our right leg over our left thigh, and we're just going to go for a little twist from side to side. Now you can go deep with your twist or you can go less deep with your twist, so just be careful with this as well. You don't want to overdo it with where the spine is concerned. Okay, now some people like to just go all the way to the floor and just hold it for a bit. Some people might think the floor feels too far away from them, although they want to hold it, so you can pop something underneath your thigh here. Okay, and then this is nice, you can just have a lovely stretch here. And then come back. Okay. And then we're crossing the other leg over the other leg. Okay, cushions are great props as well, because you can just wedge them underneath. You know, you can put your bum on them, you can put them underneath your thigh. And we're doing this twist. You can pop your head on them. And just kind of twisting from one side to the other gives us a sense of where our limits are as well. Okay, and it warms us up for the stretch. Okay, and then if you want to, you can keep it dynamic, you can keep it moving, or if you fancy a stretch, have the stretch. Now I feel quite nice when my thigh is propped up on something. Okay, arms can go behind you, that feels really nice. Just check in with your lower back if it's feeling a bit creaky, a bit over twisted, then you need to modify something. Okay, so you don't want to feel the stress and the hassle in the lower back there. And then we'll come back. And then release that leg, give it a shake. And we're going to do this nice stretch for the hamstring. So we're moving in and out of the stretch here. Now you can hold behind your thigh, or you might be able to hold behind your calf. And we inhale, and as you exhale, lengthen. Feel the connection between the core and the leg. Inhale, exhale. Now whilst you're doing this, make sure you're not scrunching around the neck area. So you're going to keep your neck nice and long. Again, this might be good to pop your head on a little pillow. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, now here we can just hold the stretch for a little bit if you want to. Try not to do that, so you don't want to kind of collapse into the stretch. Keep it nice and you want to stretch smartly, not just go for the extreme. Okay, and then we'll release, and then we'll do the other side. So you want to keep your backside on the floor, you want to keep your head and neck nicely aligned, and when you're ready to go, exhale, inhale. Now I'm quite tight on my hamstring, especially on this side, so I can't get, if I try and straighten my leg, that's going to happen. Okay, so it's just going to, my form will just go. So we want to keep it, we're compromising by not straightening the leg. We want to keep the spine aligned. The spine is the priority here, the trunk and the spine. And we'll do another 3. 2. And 1. Okay, and on the final one, you can keep moving if you prefer, or you can just hold it for a static stretch. Be careful not to hold directly behind your knee, okay? Thigh or calf, but not directly behind the knee joint. And then we'll release out of that. We're going to roll over onto our fronts. And we're going to do some back mobilization work. So we're going to have our forearms down on the side of the mat. Now a lot of us scrunch into the neck when we're doing this, so make sure your chest is proud and your shoulders are broad and your collarbones are broad. So you want to sort of not feel, we're not in this kind of scrunched up protective mode. We want to feel very open. And our forearms are here. And line your feet up so your heels are a tiny bit closer together than your toes. And we're engaging those abdominals, and you're rolling an imaginary peak forwards with your nose, rolling it forwards, 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 and we lift off, and you feel that mobility in the spine here. And then release. Okay, now we're going to do this, and this time, if you can, we're going to lift the forearms. So we get a really big stretch here. Lots of strength work as well for the core and the mid-back. Okay, now either do that one more time. If you want a deeper stretch, bring your hands further forwards and wider and press yourself up. Okay, be careful of lower backs here, because we need to be able to keep the engagement in the core to protect that lower back. And then release. Okay, it just might be a bit too strong for some people. And if that's the case, leave it out. Okay, so we're coming into our child's pose. If you've got a ball handy, it's quite nice just to use it, just to have an extra little thing. You might want to just roll the ball from side to side. Okay, and then we're going to lie on our sides. Now, a block or a cushion is great for this next one, otherwise your neck is kind of at a funny angle. And regulars of my sessions will know this is one of my favourite stretches. So we're here, we've got our knees bent and we've got our arms outstretched with our hands in prayer. And then we're going to, as we inhale, we're going to open. So we've got this twist through the spine, through the trunk, we're opening out, and then as you exhale, you're closing. Okay, now this is the basic. You can add your own signature to it. So what I quite like doing here, I'm just going to reposition myself, is adding in a circle with the arms. So you're tracing this giant circle, and you're trying to keep your fingertips as close to the floor as is physically possible. And I'm going to do two this way. You can do a half circle, you can keep with the open and close, you can mix and match, so they all have a slightly different focus. Okay, now if you're doing the giant circles, we'll change direction. Now before we turn over to do the other side, we're going to stretch out the quads and the hip flexors. So we're going to grab hold of the top ankle. You can always use a band or a piece of like rope or dog's lead or something, or sock even, if you need to have extend the length of your arm effectively, because for some of us we're a little bit that way. So you want to create this opening. Okay, so you want to be nice and broad, nice and open. And then we're stretching out the quad, okay? Now there's the big thigh muscle at the front of the thigh. You don't want to feel a pinching in the knee or a tugging on the knee. So if you do feel any problems around the knee, ease off a little bit, okay? And from here, we can also get into our hip flexor just by tilting that pelvis. So tailbone shoots down towards the bottom of the mat as you draw those abdominals in. And these are the hip flexors here. We're often very tight in that area. Tight hip flexors, tight back. Okay, and then we'll release out of that, give it a shake, and then over we go to the other side. So in this, it's like the fetal position, except we haven't got a rounded spine here, we've got a straight spine, and then we're like that. Okay, and then you can open. This is our inhale as we open, we're expanding, and then exhale as you close. Or you can go for your circles. I'm going to do 2 in this direction, and you'll really feel that if you've got a tightness around the pecs and around the chest, you're getting a really decent stretch. It's also great for the mid-back, creating mobility in the mid-back, which is a part of the body that's quite often very stiff. And then we're changing direction. And one more that way. Okay, and just bring yourself back. And we're going to do another stretch for the hip flexors. Okay, now we're coming into a lunge. Okay, so it doesn't matter which side you do first. We're coming into that lunge, and this is the hip flexor we want to stretch, so it's the back leg, okay? And for some of us, you might need to just shimmy your foot forwards a little bit and get this exaggeration in the tilt, because this won't stretch the hip flexor. You want to keep the body nice and high, nice and straight, and you want to get this, really target this. So try and create that stretch in the flexor. Okay, and then we're going to bring the arms up and over, and we're going to rotate towards the front leg. So we're rotating, and that will just deepen that stretch. You can do something with the arms if you want to, open up the arms, and then bring them back, and we'll just sit back a little bit towards the heel. Now, some people might go all the way, some people might not, and you can do a little seesaw if you want to. This is a nice one that you kind of get between the hip flexor and the hamstring. Okay, and then we're going to change over, other side. I'll just shimmy around so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, and again, if my legs are too close together, I won't feel the stretch, so I just need to shimmy the foot down a little bit. Try not to buckle the hips or let the knees go wobbling in or out. So we want to maintain our alignment. And then a little bit of a tilt. So instead of that, we're like that, okay? And we want to already feel the stretch, okay? Be mindful of your knee, ease off if the knee's feeling it, maybe up the padding underneath the knee. And we reach up, engage your core, hips are facing forwards, and we rotate towards the front leg. And then come back. Okay, and then hands can come on the floor, and you can sit back towards your heel. Okay, now if you're not feeling limber enough for that, just keep it like this. Okay, so you're just kind of keeping, modifying, keeping it less extreme. Okay, however, if you do want to put your bum back on your heel and you fancy that and it suits you, you know, no problem at all. Okay. And then we'll just release out of that. So we'll have a child's pose, and we're just going to hold it in the child's pose for a little bit. And as we do, I've got my cushion here, so I'm going to use it. So we're going to really focus on expanding and breathing into this portion of our back. So we're really expanding the lungs. Okay, and then as you inhale, really filling up, lots of expansion. As you exhale, just let that breath ooze. So inhaling, filling up, loads of expansion. And as you exhale, let the breath really ooze out. So try not to force it. We'll do a couple more like that. And then to finish off, we're going to, you can use this as the cushion if you want to. Now, you could have your head on the cushion, or you could place it underneath your mid-back, okay? And what that does is it will just open out the chest a little bit, okay? So you can probably see here. Now, some people like it even more extreme. Some people like a thicker object here. But you just want to get this sensation where you're opening out the chest, and you are getting a slight sense of extension through the spine. We don't want to feel any pinching in the lower back, so it's the chest that's kind of going up towards the ceiling, or the sternum, not the belly, okay? So you want to get this night, you're draping over the object if you are going for an object here, okay? And then we're going to bring the arms down by our side and let your feet flop out to the side, and just let your hands be away from the body, and you can curl the fingers a little bit. Shrug and release the shoulders, and then just close your eyes for a few moments. Just consolidate everything you've done. Just start to wriggle your fingers and wriggle your toes. Circle your ankles, circle your wrists. And then move your head from side to side. And if you're on an object, bend your knees and then just lift the back slightly and just slide the object out to the side. Tuck your knees into your chest. One last little hug, rolling onto your side. And you can just hold it here. So it's a little bit like yoga. When you come out of yoga, just hold it for a couple of breaths. And then push yourself up. Now you might be so loose after that you don't need to sit on your block anymore, or you might still need to. Okay, and then just give those shoulders a little roll. Roll them the other way. Spread your wings, present your sternum, palms together, give yourselves a clap. Namaste. Well done, everybody. So that was session number 15. I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.